Hey everybody, this is Mrs. Combs. Today I'm going to go over factoring using the distributive property. Okay, so basically, factoring using the distributive property allows us to do some mental math, okay? So the first kind of question I'm going to show you is what happens when I have 3 times 92, okay? I want to break down 92 so I can easily multiply. Now, of course, I can stack these and start multiplying, but when I have to do that in my head, it's a little bit harder. So I want to think about 3 times the expanded form of 92, which is going to be 90 plus 2. Okay, the distributive property tells me that if I have A times B plus C, which is in this form, okay, I'm going to distribute A to the B to multiply plus A to the C to multiply. So I'm going to take 3 times 90 plus 3 times 2. Okay, so in this case I'm going to have 270 plus 6 to get the answer of 276. When I break this down this way, it allows me to quickly or easily multiply, because as you can see, we just need to know 3 times 9, which is 27, and add a 0. So let's do a couple more. I'm going to do one more example, and then I'm going to put them on my own problems. So for example, what happens if I have 12 times 45? Okay, I'm going to take 12, pull it out. I'm going to split up 45 into 40 plus 5, and I'm going to distribute the 12 to the 40. So 12 times 40 plus 12 times 5. Now 12 times 4 is going to be 48, add a 0, plus 12 times 5, which is going to be 60. So my final answer would be 540. Okay, so why don't you try these 2 problems on your own, and then I will go over it with you. So if you want to pause the video now, I will go over 5 times 83 and 16 times 28 in just a moment, but you should try them on your own. Okay, here are the answers to the 2 problems that you tried. 5 times 23, I broke up the 23 into 20 and 3, factored the 5 to the 20 plus 5 to the 3. 5 times 20 is 100, and 5 times 3 is 15. Add them together, you should get a final answer of 115. When I factor 16 times 28, I'm going to take the 28 and I'm going to split it up between 20 and 8. I'm going to take the 16, factor it to the 20, plus 16, factor it to the 8. 16 times 2 is 32, add a 0. And 16 times 8 is 128. So when I add these together, I get 448. Now I'm going to go to the next type of problem that you can use the distributive property for. So if I have 3 times x plus 5, I'm going to distribute the 3 to the x plus 5. So I'm just like I did before, the only difference now is I have a variable. So I'm going to distribute 3 times x, 3 times x, plus 3 times 5. Now 3 times x can't get any simpler, so I just leave it as 3x. But 3 times 5 can get simpler to 15, and there's my final answer. I can't combine coefficients with a variable to numbers that don't have a variable multiplied by them. Okay, so let's try another example. What happens if I have 7 times 3s minus 5? So I distribute exactly like I did in the previous problem, but it looks a little different. So 7 times 3s minus, this is where a lot of students mess up, 7 times 5. So 7 times 3 is 21, and then we have an s, minus 7 times 5, which is 35. I cannot get any simpler than this. This is my final answer. Okay? 2 types of problems I want to try. What happens if I have 13 times n plus 4 plus 7m. Okay? I take 13 times n plus 13 times 4 plus 13 times 7m. Okay, so now I'm left with 13n plus 52 plus 91m. Okay, and that's my final answer. Let's try one more. What happens if I have 6 times 2m plus 4 plus 3m? Okay, so I have 6 times 2m plus 6 times 4 plus 6 times 3m. Now I'm left with 12m plus 24 plus 18m. Now one thing you may have noticed that I have 12 m's here and 18 m's here. I can combine them to get 30 m's plus 24. Okay, and that's going to be my final answer. They both have the same type of variable and to the same power, so they can be combined. The last type of problem is factoring out based on GCF. So actually, before we even get to that, I'm going to give you a couple practice problems. So 6 times 2q plus 4p plus 3. Let's do 26 times x minus y. And the last one, let's do 4 times 2x minus or plus 2 minus 1. Why don't you pause the video now and try these out, and then I'll go over them with you. Okay, here are the problems solved. So I took 7, distributed it to the 2q, then distributed it to the 4p, then distributed it to the 3. My final answer is 14q plus 28p plus 21. I took the 26 and distributed it to the x and the y. Don't forget there's a subtraction sign, so I get 26x minus 26y. And the last one, 4 times 2x plus 2 minus 1. I take 4 times 2x plus 4 times 2 minus 4 times 1. So I get 8x plus 8 minus 4. Since I can do 8 minus 4, my final answer would be 8x plus 4, because 8 minus 4 is a positive 4. So it's 8x plus 4. Are there any? So now the last one that I'm going to go over is factoring out using GCF. Okay? So if I have 15 plus 27, I got to think about what is the greatest common factor of these two numbers that I can pull out. One way to do that is to find a factor tree and go 5 times 3, 9 times 3, to get 3 times 3 times 3. Okay? So I'm going to look for the common factor, the greatest common factor. I have a 3 and a 3. That's the only factor I have. So my greatest common factor here would be 3, my GCF. So I'm going to take 3. How many times does 3 go into 15? 5 times. How many times does 3 go into 27? 9 times. And I'm in final answer form. Let's try another one. Let's do 40 plus 100. So to find the GCF of this, I can do a factor tree, 4 times 10, 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. I have 100, 4 times 25, 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. Now I'm going to find my partners. I have a partner of 5. I have a partner of 2. I have another partner of 2. So my GCF is going to be 5 times 2 times 2, which is going to be 20. So that's the number I'm going to pull out, 20. How many times does 20 go into 40? Twice. Plus, how many times does 20 go into 100? 5 times. Okay? Now I'm going to try one with the variable. If I have 48x plus 72, okay? I'm going to find the GCF of both whole numbers. So 48 is going to be 6 times 8, which is going to be 3 times 2, times 4 times 2, 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Then I'm going to have 72, which is going to be 24 times 3. And then it's going to be 12 times 2 times 3, followed by 4 times 3 times 2 times 3. Last one, 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 3. So if you're struggling on that, definitely go back to the prime factorization video. But anyway, so I'm going to find my partners, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, and those are my only partners. So my GCF is going to be 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 3, which is 24. So 24 is my GCF. So that's what I'm going to pull out here. 24 goes into 48x 2x times, plus 24 goes into 72 3 times. So that would be my final factored form. So I'm going to give you one or a couple to try out, and we'll go from there. So let's try 30 plus 54. That's your first one. Number 2 is going to be 42y plus 49. And your last one is going to be, let's do 30x plus 50y. So why don't you pause the video right now and try those 3 problems. Okay, so here are the 3 problems solved. 30 plus 54. As you can see, I did factor trees and found that the GCF is 6. So here's my 6. And 6 goes into 35 times, 6 goes into 54 9 times. So my final answer is 6 times the quantity 5 plus 9. 42 plus 9, 42y plus 9. I see that here's the factor tree of 42, here's the factor tree of 49. The only partners I have is 7, so my GCF is 7. 7 goes into 42y 6y times. 7 goes into 49 7 times. So 7 times the quantity 6y plus 7 is my final answer. My last one, I found that my GCF was 10, so I pulled 10 out. 10 times 3x is going to be 30x. 10 times 5y is going to be 50y, okay? I want to show you one more. For example, if I had 30x plus 50x, since they both have an x, I can also pull out an x. So I can say 10x times 3 plus 5. So that's just a little bonus there. Hopefully this helped you out with the distributive property and factoring, because I know we were having a little bit of trouble in class. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in class. Have a great night.